Hello there, Eagles fans. Welcome back to our Eagles Therapy Podcast. I'm Basil.
And I'm back.
And we are recording Sunday, January 19th, 2025. Dad, we're going to the NFC Championship game, man.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. We had some good yells going on there, and a great crowd at the Rhinos. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. Yeah. The place was packed.
About 80 to 85 people kind of was the count all around. A few different people counted, but around 80 to 85 people is what we heard. We were right in the middle of it. It was a great time. We had a nice table up in front, not too up front, but up in the front, getting a good view at the big screen, and there was fans all around, Eagles fans all up and down the bar, in the corner, the back corner, all behind us, everything. So it was great to see. It was a great time. I hope you'll all be there for the Commanders game for the Eagles game next week against the Commanders. In the NFC Championship game, 2 NFC Championship game appearances in 2 years. We talk about Nick Sirianni a lot. We've said a lot of things in the past, still say things to this day, and we've gotten to 2 NFC Championship games with this guy.
I mean, you're going to hear us talk today about the game and the goods and the bads, but the bottom line is we won again.
Yes.
I was hoping for something a little bit easier. I thought after the big run late that it was over, and then they had to bring us back in and have my blood pressure go above the roof again. And, I guess that's kind of game you want to win, right? Instead of, a blowout. I don't know. Not me.
There is a common debate about that. Is it better for your team to win a blowout because it's more
relaxing,
fulfilling? No, definitely not relaxing. No, it's more fulfilling. Or I'm sorry, you're right. I'm sorry. When you win a blowout, it's more relaxing. It's more, we just get to sit here and watch us destroy them, like the Cowboys game a few weeks ago.
Exactly.
But a game like this is more fulfilling in a way because you had to go through the tough times to get a better one. I still prefer the blowout a little bit more. That's okay, though. That's just me.
Well, especially when you go up late at one point, just a little cushion, and then you still got to bite the nails. I mean, that was kind of rough, and I know I heard from a bunch of fans back east and out here, they were all texting me and things like that saying, nail biter time. And I'm like, yes, it is. It's the team we are playing. It's the team we have. So,
let's go ahead and get into it. Before we do that, of course, let's give a shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles fan club at Colorado Springs. Facebook page was having a great time today. If you're in the Colorado Springs area or Denver or Pueblo, please join the page. We'd love to have you out for a game at Rhino Sports and Spirits. We will be there for the NFC Championship game in Lincoln Financial Field against the Commanders, which is going to be great next week. 1 o'clock for us here, 3 o'clock Eastern time for them back there, but going to be 1 o'clock for us there. We'll be there early, just like this time. Hopefully, we'll see if my wife works or not, and I got to take care of the baby, but we'll find out what happens there. All right, Dad, let's get into it. Eagles defeat the Rams 28-22. Tough game, nail biter, front and back, all the way through. Not an easy game to watch.
No, and it's funny because we had so many big plays all on the ground, and after the second or third, I'm thinking, okay, just run on these guys, and then we hit a little bump in the road and couldn't run, but then Barkley just unbelievable again. This guy is unbelievable. What's he got? 460 yards rushing in 2 games versus the Rams, which is incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's a season for some guys.
That's true.
Like a backup running back. You're going to get 500 yards. 2 games. Maybe 40, 45 carries maybe.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Well, not just that, but he also had 4 touchdowns of 60 yards or longer in one of those games.
Yeah.
Maybe 50 yards longer. But it was an incredible game to watch. Tough to watch all the way through, but still great game and great relief at the end to have that that fulfillment. We're going to the NFC Championship game. We get a chance to punch our ticket to the Super Bowl. As you can tell, my voice is completely damaged. There were some Rams fans there, and we had to sing our song a little bit louder at the end just to kind of get in their ear.
Stand behind them there after that 4th down play and just let them know that we knew they were sitting over there heckling us a little bit.
Absolutely.
It was like 84-2, I think.
Yeah, that's very true. Absolutely. Yeah, no. So let's get into the summary of the game. So to break it down, we start the game off and, we're getting, we really don't like starting the game with the ball. You and I are always want to get out there on defense, let the offense take its time, get the other offense out of rhythm, get the defense hitting hard, blood boiling. But no, in a 6-play drive, the Eagles 14-yard pass, 5-yard pass, 4-yard run, 1-yard run, 6-yard run, and then on 2nd and 4, Jalen Hurts takes off for a 44-yard touchdown design run. Thought it was the best design run of his career. Who Kellen Moore called a great play there. And the blocking downfield was amazing. The hole that the offensive line created was unbelievable. It was a great drive and a great tone setter for the game.
Yeah.
Until Jake Elliott mixed his extra point.
No, I agree, because that, to me, that's like the icing on the cake. That is the the rice in your soup. That's, you can't, especially early in the game, you cannot miss that extra point.
Yeah.
I don't know what the alternative. Go for 2 every time, because it hurts so much when you miss that extra point. And as we know, at the end of the game, we could have used a few of those extra points.
Yeah. Rams get the ball. They go down and score on a 13-play touchdown drive. Then it's kind of back and forth playing hot potato. We punt. They punt. Then we get a touchdown. We got on a big 15-yard penalty deep to Devontae Smith. I thought it was a pretty good throw by Hurts. It hit him right in the hands.
Beautiful.
But it was a nice little unnecessary roughness. Hit him in the helmet, kind of dropped his head, and got us a 15-yard gain on what would have been a big play, but it was not caught, unfortunatally. But a couple plays later, Saquon Barkley does it again. 62-yard touchdown, breaks free to the right side. It just and then it was nice because he slowed down just so he could kind of give a little crap to Jared Verse, who obviously got some attention this week for his trash talk about Eagles fans. Sometimes it's deservedly so.
Go back to that Devontae play. It was a great play. He had it right in his hands, but people may complain, whatever. But that defender definitely targeted him with his helmet. He launched into him with his helmet, and he hit him in the helmet. So I'm glad they called that. And it was. I would have rather have him catch the ball, but he got. It was just a hit, but it was definitely a targeting shot. And I'm glad to see that they called that correctly.
Yes. So we get that second touchdown. We're up 13-7, and you're thinking, okay, now it's on. It's open. The Saquon's opened it up. Let's start doing this. And then we hit our big rut. The Rams go down. They're able to kick a field goal. Some help with the penalty along the way, but they're able to go down and kick a field goal, and then we punt. And in that punt, I think Jalen takes probably one of the worst sacks he's taken of the year. Took a 9-yard sack. It was just really rough to watch. Thankfully, the Rams punted back, even though they have a big 20-yard gain. Yeah. And you're starting to get kind of bored. You're like, oh, wow, I thought this would kind of be high-flying because the first quarter suggested it was going to be a lot of offense. Then it really slowed down in the second quarter. Only 3 points were scored, and it was by the Rams. Then to end the half, I mean, I thought this was one of our worst end-of-half series of the season. Yeah. There was a time earlier in the season where the end-of-half series, we were awful. If you remember the Saints game, the Falcons game, certain games there was like, oh my gosh, the end-of-half sequences are awful. I thought today was really bad. We start off with a run, then a 5-yard penalty for a false start. Minus 1 yard run. It's 3rd and 14, and then you get a 16-yard pass play to Saquon. You're like, oh, here we go. He did get a little shook up, kind of hit his.
We started from the 5-yard line or something.
Started that from the 9.
Okay.
Yeah, the 9-yard line, but the 5-yard penalty backed us up to the 11 or to the 6, I think.
That's scary. We're scared to throw the ball at that point. You could tell, but he hit Barkley on that hated out pass, but Barkley just flew up line and. He took a good shot on the wrist there, and it was a little bit scary there for a couple minutes.
It was more of a design screen, I would say, than an out pass.
Yeah.
Because to me, an out pass it's just
you're standing flat.
Certain times, that to me was like a delayed one where the coverage had dropped.
It's like a swing pass.
It was different. It was a little different.
Because he got going quick on that when he caught it, but I still hate that pass play.
See, after that 16-yard pass, you're thinking, okay, well, we're going to go down to score here. Maybe not a touchdown, but at least get some points.
Exactly.
10-yard pass, 10-yard pass, 2-yard pass, 11-yard run, 9-yard run, pass incomplete. You're thinking still, hey, man, we got still a minute left. 3rd and 1. Well, we've still got some time. We're at the Rams 37. We got a good chance here. And then Hurts takes one of the terrible sack, and he fumbles the ball. Thankfully recovered by Kenny Gainwell on the LA 47. And at that point, we're like, well, now we got nothing. They call timeout, and then Jalen takes another sack. Negative 8-yard sack by Jared Verse. So then you're kind of worried because you're like, well, now we're going into the halftime, and they have all the momentum.
Yeah, and we're going backwards. I mean, it was just so bad because, we knew we had to kick off to them in the second half. So, you're trying to eke some points out. I attribute some of these sacks to just bad play calling. I don't understand what the heck they're trying to do. I don't understand why it takes so long. I bet you if we put a timer on there, we'd say Jalen got sacked after about 5 seconds. I mean, the one was
there was a few
quickie. I remember.
Yes, there was a few here and there that they blitzed and they got in quick. But there was other times that you're right.
I'm watching the Ravens tonight, and it seems like every time Jackson gets in trouble, he's got a guy right there to throw just a swing to at. Just always has a dump off guy. Maybe we need to. I was telling you that maybe we need to figure out how they run plays and always have that guy, because we don't always have that guy. I don't know if the guys are running down 50 yards down the field, but there should be a dump off guy, a guy you can just swing it out to. They do it every single time. So go ahead.
All good. So we start off the third quarter. We kick it off to them. He's kind of getting a little worried because you think they're carrying some momentum with those 2 sacks to end the half. Oh, real quick. Sorry, before I even get into that. End of the half, we're at the 37-yard line, 34-yard line before he takes that 15-yard sack. And I know, Jake Elliott, of course, has been rough recently. In the 34-yard line, it's not a gimme. But the big thing about kicking a field goal at the end of halves and everything like that, end of games, not even really that, but end of halves is to give a guy a chance. Yeah. And even if he misses it, you don't go, you wouldn't be upset. But it's just it's to give a guy a chance. And we're at the 34-yard line, and we couldn't give the guy a chance. What's that? That becomes a 51-yarder. Yeah. And I know I get it. That's not ideal. He's had a lot of struggles this year. But man, you got to give a guy a chance. And when you take a 15-yard sack, that's not how you do it, And
you got a guy that's been struggling with extra points and field goals, although he did go 3 for 3 for field goals today. But, it would have been nice at the end of the half to try a 51-yarder just to see what's happening. And then he misses it. There's no time left. He makes it, and everybody, gets excited.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's just situation. To me, you got to play for the points in these games, especially when it's 13-10 or what, anything like that. But it was just disappointing to see him take that sack. And again, I haven't rewatched the game yet, but I really am going to watch it and see if it's play design or what. But we need to figure out why he's taking these 12, 15-yard sacks at just these inopportune times that happened late in the game too. And I mean, at that point, I was giving up. I'm going, you got to be kidding me with this. We can't have a 6-year quarterback, maybe fifth-year quarterback. Yeah. When I watch rookies know how to throw it away.
Yeah. And, fourth-year starter, fifth-year quarterback.
Dump it off and figure out a way to throw that thing out of the end zone or something. But no, it seems like he takes sacks every single time, and it's got to change.
Very often. It is. Well, I think I said earlier this season, after one of our bad games, maybe it was Tampa Bay or something, and I said, it feels like at this point, anytime it's 3rd and 7 or longer, there's going to be a sack. Like we're not going to get it. If it's 3rd and 7 or longer, we will get a sack. We will sack.
I mean, there was one that I know Becton blew it, where the guy just came right in, and you're like, he did right there by himself, and you're helping double somebody else. To me, that was strange, really bad.
I thought they struggled a little bit.
And the Rams are no slouch. I mean, they had 9 sacks last week. So I mean, but they can't contain the run. And they're not a very good pass defense. They can sack you. So let's design that way. But luckily that game's over with and we move on.
Yeah. So the third quarter starts off, like I said, a little worried because you think they're carrying some momentum, but our defense forces a 3-and-out. Problem is our offense then goes 3-and-out. After that point, the Rams go on a 7-yard drive to kick a field goal after a good sack by, I think it was Jalen Hunt. To make the field goal a little bit longer. It was on a 3rd and 13, sacked him for a 3-yard loss. Good to see Jalen Hunt get in there for a sack.
He played an awful lot today. Number 58, he's always at the bottom of your screen or the right side of the line, if you will. And, he played a lot. Unfortunately, he's got to play a lot because Huff is garbage, unfortunately. He can't do anything. So, I mean, it's unfortunate he's our $16 million guy that we picked up, but, it's a bummer, but luckily for us, Hunt is getting his feet wet and had a sack in a big game. So, I mean, it shows that he's able to play with the big boys. And, 3rd-round pick, I believe. So,
yes, correct.
That's fantastic.
And the third round.
Fantastic.
Yeah. We get the ball back after they kick that field goal. We go tit for tat. We drive down a 10-play or a 9-play drive to kick a field goal, 44-yarder, which was really big for Jake to hit that. In that type of weather conditions, really anything 35 and longer, you kind of close your eyes on.
I mean, I held my breath, but that's okay.
Oh, definitely. But still, you're happy to see a 44-yarder, in the weather condition. Good for him to get, hit that.
And by then the weather was bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the third quarter, it was getting bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we force a punt, 3-and-out, nice little 3-and-out. Problem with that is they kick it down. It gets to the 4-yard line, and right away you're like, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me.
That was kind of a Cooper DeJean blow up there. I mean, I don't know what happened, but
Unfortunately, and like Ben did mention it while we were watching with him. Shout out to you, Ben. Got to sit next to him, which was great today.
Yes,
he said during the game, if there's no snow, that bounces in the end zone. You're like, oh no, it's true, it's completely true.
It's true.
It's just tough because you got it.
It was just a really bad play. I mean,
it was really not. I don't want to say bad. It was just incredibly unfortunate.
Saying that he had about 40 yards in front of him. I know it was probably an exaggeration, but there was nobody there to hit him right away. And it's just
if I would like to I didn't rewatch that play. I would like to though because I think he had at least 25 yards of room between the nearest runner. It was a great punt. It was a very
fantastic punt.
It was a great punt, and it was 58 yards. So he really outkicked his coverage. I thought he could.
But a 58-yard punt's really about an 80-yard punt because of the yardage you move back. And remember, we were talking about this before.
It's true, yeah.
From the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, they don't count from
where
you're
kicking it from 10, 12,
15 yards, 12 yards back.
Yeah, definitely.
So then this punt being down at the 4-yard line leads to the worst drive of the day, I think. First play is a 4-yard run, and you're like, all right, cool, get to the 8-yard line, give us some breathing room. But then Jalen Hurts drops back 20 yards. I'm just kidding, but drops back into the end zone, and seeing the guy coming at him, takes a sack. Doesn't throw it away, doesn't try to find a guy to throw at his feet, doesn't try anything, anything. Just takes a sack, and I
takes a safety.
Yeah, takes a sack.
Yeah,
takes a safety.
Unbelievable.
And it blows my mind. I mean, last year he took a safety in the playoff game against Tampa Bay, if you remember, and that was one of the worst plays I'd ever seen in my life. Yeah. And this one was up there with it. I don't even know how. I can't believe it's possible for a quarterback to go, okay, I'm on the 8-yard line. So the one thing I really can't do is take a safety and take a sack. Right. Let's go ahead and do that. I couldn't believe it, man. That was horrible.
So I kind of posted something on Facebook. One of our listeners chimed in and said, well, an intentional ground at the end zone is a safety as well. And I said, you know what? I'll take my chances. Throw the damn ball.
Yeah,
there was somebody there. You can throw it at their feet.
Because guess what?
Be 10 you're slipping and throw the ball, and then they can't call nothing.
A sack in the end zone is 100% going to end in a safety. A throwaway in the end zone, there's a 75% chance. Right. You know what I mean? It's a game of percentage, and it's less likely to get a sack if you throw the ball away. And I get it; it could be intentional grounding, and if that happens, I'll take my chances there. But what if he throws it up and AJ goes, and then he gets grabbed? Oh, now it's a personal foul. I'm sorry, now it's a pass interference, 20-yard penalty.
It's a holding. It's a first down. It's something. But when you, like you said, 100% of the time that you're tackled in the end zone, it's safety. Every time. It's never not. Yeah. So, to me, for that to happen in a player that's played for 4 or 5 years, come on, man. I mean, I guarantee you, these are rookies out there that don't do the same thing. Yeah. And, a lot of times you'll see them throw the ball and you're like, oh, that's intentional grounding. Oh, the receiver was in the vicinity. And you're like, okay, I guess. What's the vicinity? 20 yards? But throw the dang thing. It was just bad. I was really bad. And I just could not let that go. It bothered me for probably 20 minutes after that. Unbelievable.
It bothered me until the Saquon touchdown, really, that we're going to get into in a second. Go ahead. So we kick it off to them. Nice thing is, 2 plays later, Kyron Williams, he gets 8 yards. But then the next play, nice little Jalen Carter forcing a fumble. Jalen Carter, we'll get into it all, but Jalen Carter had an unbelievable game. Recovered by Isaiah Rodgers at the 50-yard line. He returns it to the 10 for 40 yards. At this point, it's kind of funny. We talked about it. The field was pretty much, whited out, I would say. So you really didn't know what yard line they were at.
Right.
So when he was running and he got to the 10, I was like, oh, man, I think we're at the 1 yard line. I couldn't tell. Yeah. Then they come back and they're at the 10, and I'm like, oh, crap. Yeah. I wanted a touchdown on the next play.
That's the thing about this type of game. We needed that defensive touchdown.
Every yard. Yeah.
Because we end up not getting a touchdown on that drive, which I couldn't believe, but we weren't able to go 10 yards.
Yeah. It starts off with a great run, 8-yard run from Saquon to get to the 2. Then you get a run for no gain, gets tackled kind of, not really for a loss, but kind of over a loss. Yeah. And then the next play, he gets for a touchdown, but ruling on the field is changed. His elbow was down.
He was.
It was,
but literally, 8 inches from the goal line. It was that close, the ball. I mean, he was a foot away from the
I would say it was 2 inches.
It was so close.
I would say it was like 1.5 inches. It was like, I've never seen a ball closer.
And of course, right then I'm going, okay, we were going to tush it in for a touchdown.
Yes.
This is a cake right here.
Yep. Then on 4th and 1, we try to do a little tush push, but Lane Johnson unfortunately gets a false start, which is...
I would say 4-yard penalty. Isn't that weird? Had to be a 5-yard penalty, right?
Well, I guess because it wasn't at the 1, it was at the inch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is kind of funny you point that out, but you're right. I think because it's at the inch, they're kind of just like, well, we'll move it back to the 5 because it's technically at the 0. Like, you know,
that's true. But yeah, so that was to me that was one of the really bad plays of the game because we really needed that touchdown. We ended up getting a field goal, which is fine. But that only made it, a 5-point game, I think.
Made it 19-15, made it a 14-point game.
4-point game, yeah. So
or 4 points. So.
Yeah.
That was tough.
We really needed that touchdown there. And I kept saying it to you, this is it. This is the touchdown. Because that was fairly later in the game, right?
Yes, correct. Okay, so then we get a field goal. Thankfully, Jake Elliott's able to hit a 23-yarder. After his missed extra point, he did pretty good. Then he missed another extra point. Then we force a fumble a couple plays later. Big play, 15-yarder for Matt Stafford. But then Nolan Smith gets in there, gets a sack, forces a sack on Matt Stafford, forces the fumble. It was great.
Bond right there to cover it up.
Exactly. It was phenomenal.
Right there.
That was I kind of call it the Bond series. And I think Steve pointed out for us at first, really. But Zach Bond got a -3-yard tackle. Then they got a 15-yard play, and then the next one, or I think the 2 plays later, Zach Bond jumped back and knocked the ball down when it was thrown to the side.
Yes.
And the next play he recovered a fumble, and it was like, man, Steve said he's like, what a series for Zach Bond.
Yeah.
That leads to a field goal for us, which was great. Puts us up a little bit more, but still you want a touchdown. But at that point, I kind of told you, and I was wrong, but I said, man, I don't think another touchdown will be scored the rest of the game.
Right.
Like I was like, the weather conditions, I didn't feel like
deteriorated, yeah.
We force a little punt, a nice little 3-and-out, which is great. And then next play, Saquon Barkley breaks off left side for a 78-yard touchdown. He looks at Jalen. I've seen some tape that shows it. He looked at Jalen. He said, "Watch this."
Yeah, he did.
He did. He said, "Watch this." Broke off for a 78-yard touchdown. And then Jake Elliott missed an extra point.
That would have made it that was a 28-15. It should have been 29-15. It should have been 14 point. Right.
2 touchdowns.
And if we had kicked the earlier extra point and I got up a safety, we'd have been at like 16 points. It's just ridiculous.
Would have been up 17.
Unbelievable.
It was bad. Then it gets a little bit annoying. You think the game's kind of over after that.
There was only 4 minutes and 30 seconds something left, right?
At that point, there was 4 minutes, 36 seconds. Yeah, right, yes. Yeah. The Rams 12 play, or I'm sorry, more so like 11 play. 11 play touchdown drive. Only a minute and 48 seconds for 70 yards to score a touchdown. Touchdown passes is to Parkinson, their tight end. Yeah. And we're like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. Like,
we're back to the game.
We got to do this again? Yeah. You got to be kidding me. It just was awful. And then to make matters worse, we go to the next drive. We get the ball. Nice little 3-and-out. Beautiful 3-and-out. Never seen a better 3-and-out in my life. 3-yard run, and then Hurts.
So now it's 2nd and 7.
2nd and 7.
2nd and 7, and where are we at? The 40?
We're at the 33.
We're at their 33. So 2nd and 7, right?
Our 33.
Our 33, 2nd and 7. Okay, you run it again. You get 2-3 yards. Now it's 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3.
Instead,
what did you do? We just try to throw the ball.
They design a rollout for Jalen Hurts. And instead of throwing the ball away, he does get a -12-yard sack.
That is all on Kellen Moore. I don't care what anybody says. That was a terrible call. And if Dallas wants him as an OC, I say take him. I'm just saying, take him.
12-yard sack against Hurts. This was absolutely awful. I don't know why he didn't throw it away. Again, we talk about this guy has no ability to throw the ball away for some reason. I know a lot of people would say, oh, he was trying, if he goes down, the clock continues to run. Well, they had a timeout. So, no, it doesn't. Right. But also not just that. At that point, if you throw the ball away, it's 3rd and 7 now. Yeah. And that's a manageable thing. Not 3rd and 19.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
So on 3rd and 19, we run the ball for 6 yards.
What do you call it?
A coward's draw.
A coward's draw, yes. That's a great terminology because we used it about 3 times in this game.
Definitely. And, I mean, there are times where it's the smart play. If it's 3rd and 25, I usually suggest, just do the coward's draw, run the clock. You can't do anything. But sometimes it's just frustrating to watch.
To take yourself out of that drive right there was just
I mean, you wanted to lose the game. It was really
don't get it. I mean, You can't do that. When you 3rd and 7 at your 33, okay? Again, you run it again, now it's 3rd and 4 at the 35. When you're punting from the, you're going to put them down at the 20-yard line. No, when we ended up punting, they got it. I don't know where they got it exactly, but
they started the ball actually pretty good at the 23-yard line.
Well, that's the one that bounced.
The 18-yard line.
That's the one that bounced and rolled. So we did get lucky.
So they started the 18-yard line, was good. So they go on a 10-play, 65-yard, 11-play, 65-yard drive. You're thinking, oh man, we get a big pass breakup by Rodgers. We get a big. It was Cooper DeJean. He almost picked it. We get a big pass breakup by Darius Slay. You're starting to go, here we go, And then on 3rd and 10, they get an 11-yard first down. Right. And then you're like, okay, let's start it over, do it again. Nope. Next play, 37-yard pass to Puka Nacua. Goes out of bounds at the Philadelphia 21. And you're going, oh, okay, it's about over. Yeah. They get a 3-yard pass play, but then they get a 5-yard penalty. So that gives you just a tad bit of hope.
That was
they
good.
do gain 10 yards on the next play.
Push it back a little.
Yep. They gain 10 yards on the next play, so it becomes 3rd and 2. And you're like, oh my God, you don't like your odds at this point. You're only up by 6. Yeah. You really don't like the odds. There's a minute 14 left. And then Jalen Carter makes the play of the game, the play of the season, the play of his career.
Yes.
He breaks right through the line and smothers Stafford. It's one of those sacks where he couldn't even move. He couldn't even go,
and right over him like a train.
He just went, and he ran right over him. They don't have any timeouts, so the clock's just running. And I'm starting to get worried. I'm like, man, we might need some clock.
It was
4th and 11.
Minus
-9-yard sack.
Yeah.
And it was clear that sack affected him because on the next play,
Stafford
airball right 5 yards out of bounds, nowhere near a receiver.
Yep.
I mean, near Puka Nacua, still. 5 yards out of bounds.
10 feet over his head.
And it ended the season for the Rams, and it continued on our season to go to the NFC Championship game in a thriller.
Right.
It was terrifying and great
now
all at once.
The home NFC Championship game because Detroit got knocked out yesterday, which, we were kind of hoping that we could get this home game, which is unbelievable. I never thought it was going to happen, but it did, and here we are. So, man, it was great. The defense, again, was amazing. They kind of had that little bit at the end of the game that kind of drives you nuts. But, they ended up with 5 sacks for 33 yards lost, and that was huge. We heard all about how Stafford is really bad in the snow, and he's 1-11 or 1-8. I've seen that somewhere else. So, now he's 1-12. So, but yeah, some of the guys that we wanted to talk about that played great, other than Jalen Carter and Smith, because they're amazing. I'll let you go with that. But Zach Bond had another fantastic day. Gardner Johnson, man, he made a great play on that one running play. Slay stayed in the game. He made some great. He had 3 pass defends. I feel like it was great.
Yeah,
he was amazing, and he also had 6 tackles. Let's see who else did I want to bring up. Isaiah Rodgers came in a few times because Quinion went out injured fairly early in the game, which kind of scared us all. But he had a pass defense. Yeah. Let's see, we've got DeJean was amazing, 5 tackles as well, 1 pass defense, and they just plays great tight defense. I mean, what's his name got him? Nacua got him a few times, but he still was there for that, and just
you see the Nacua him down. We were kind of stunned. He was number 1 on the PFF,
number 1 receiver on the PFF
out of 133 or something like that. And I was like, what?
Yeah, I mean,
did he miss 5 games?
Well, not just that. It is crazy because
Mailata was 1 too.
You got this. Well, he's definitely number 1. But you got the kid from Cincinnati. You got Minnesota's wide receivers. You got the guys from Detroit, like St. Brown and some of the. So it was just AJ. Well, even AJ, I think he was 3rd.
Something like that. I think he was too.
But seeing him number 1 was odd because he missed a whole bunch of games. I don't know how they determine that, but. That's for somebody else to look at. But overall, have 10 pass defense today on the stat sheet. So pretty amazing stuff. You got 10 tackles for loss, too, which is incredible when you think about it. But
overall, a scary game, a thrilling game, a fun game. Energy at the end of it was incredible. The cheer in that bar was unbelievable. I don't like when they say instant classics, but it's definitely one that you're going to remember for a while.
I won't rewatch it after tonight. I'll watch it once. But another shout out was for Ojimo. Great game, had a sack, not many tackles, but we need anybody that can help in that defensive line. We will use it and we'll take the sack. So 5 sacks, pretty darn good. I mean, we're not a real sack master team. Unfortunately, we didn't get one out of Sweaty, who we're big fans of. But to see Hunt get in there and get one was
I don't know. I can't say I'm a big fan of Sweaty anymore.
I know.
I'll be honest with you.
I am.
I'm kind of down on him. I mean, he's got the greatest sack dance in NFL history, but it's just a bummer. But okay, let's get into the good, the bad, and the hurts. So you basically skipped ahead and took all of my good.
I'm sorry.
Thanks a lot.
Bring it up.
Number one, real quick. Let's just mention this. Saquon Barkley. I mean,
what can you say?
You can't say anything. 2,000 yards on the season. Had 119 last week. Could have had more. And today he left it out on the field. 26 rushes, 205 yards, 7.9 yards a carry. A touchdown for 62 yards. A touchdown for 78 yards. I mean, it goes to show we should also shout out just this offensive line. It's just unbelievable. But like you mentioned, against the Rams in 2 games this year, he had 460 total yards, 4 touchdowns, and
all over 60 yards.
An average of yeah, correct. Yeah, and an average of 8.85 yards per carry. That's unbelievable.
But you know what's funny about that one? You said that he looked over at Hurts and said, "Watch this." He knew it was the same play call that he had the 70-yarder and or the 72-yarder,
same defensive
to the left side. It's funny because Ben was sitting next to me and he's like, "Are we going to do a draw with Hurts? Or are we going to run Barkley outside, not up the gut.
He called it
outside, and sure enough, he ran outside. And the minute he turns the corner, he's gone. It was just unbelievable. Yeah. Unfortunately, that wasn't the nail that we wanted it to be.
But still, just an incredible player.
It was incredible.
He's just been unbelievable this year.
He has been.
Also walked away with 4 catches for 27 yards. That big one that led the 16-yarder that got us that first down. Yeah. But real quick shout out to Steve. I do want to mention Ben and Steve, our presidents, of course. But Steve, he said he told me before the game. He's like, oh yeah, I looked it up, and I can't remember the exact statistic, but it was like for a player, if he ever rushed for a certain amount against a team and he faced that team in the playoffs later on, none of them ever rushed for like 100 or more. None of them ever rushed for more than 100. Okay. One guy rushed for 99. I can't remember what the stat was. Right. Steve can maybe throw it in the comments. But he was saying, like, when the guy does this in the regular season against a team and he plays them again in postseason, it has never worked out very well. They've never rushed for over 100. Not only did he rush for over 100, he doubled it. He rushed for 200, 205.
So, they had no answer for him. It would be nice to play them again in the playoffs if we could. Because we'll run all over them again. It's funny. We ended with, 280 yards?
Yeah, it was actually
85.
Actually a postseason, Eagles postseason record of 285.
That's how much we ran with Hurts and Gainwell with his 10. Yeah. Gainwell gets lumped in there. The trio had 285. Good for him. He also had 1 catch for 10 yards. So
I thought he had back-to-back 2 really good plays. Yeah. Actually, that was his drive. We'll talk about that drive in a second, actually. But the next good is the defense. You listed it all off. The Zach Bond series. Slay had some pass breakups. Rodgers came in for an injured Quinion, which we'll get into more. And we were worried, right away. It's like, oh, no. He had some great pass breakups. He ended up leaving the game, too. Hopefully, he's all good.
He got a fumble recovery, too. So.
Yes, he did. Return it for 40 yards.
Man.
He's a fast dude.
Huge play.
He runs a 4.3.
That ball was squirting on the ground, too, man. It was in a snow ground. It was not running right. It was just rolling.
Jalen Carter, the hero of the game, obviously 2 sacks. One of them, the biggest moment of the game, he stepped up. Yes. It's great to remember that one of the digs about him when he was being drafted was, he didn't really play much, Georgia. He's kind of, they have such a good front. He didn't play a lot. He didn't get a lot of stats or a lot of snaps. Late in games, his conditioning is not great. Yeah. And now in the NFL, he's playing full games, every single snap. And today, I don't know if he played every snap, but it seemed like it.
Snap count comes out, yeah.
It seemed like it, but even if he didn't, he ended the game with 2 sacks, a forced fumble, a couple QB hurries, a couple QB hits. And not just that sack he had saved the season.
It was the play of the game.
Saved the season.
I mean, it's funny, too, because
play of the season.
You always say we need this guy to do this or this guy to step up and do this. And, most of the time he's double-teamed. For whatever reason, on that play, he was single blocked. He was not double blocked.
Yep.
And he ran right past the guy and just ran right past the quarterback and trampled over him. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was. And you could tell it knocked Stafford off. We were glad to see that because we didn't need him being accurate, and he threw that thing. He sailed that ball. So it was beautiful.
My next one on the defense, Nolan Smith. We kind of mentioned that. Great sack fumble. Big thing for him, and in the postseason, 3 sacks so far in these 2 postseason games. He was kind of viewed as a bust, kind of giving some Brandon Graham vibes from this guy. But he was kind of getting viewed as a bust, and now he's come on to get 3 sacks, a couple QB hurries, forced fumble, QB hits, whatever stats you want to give.
For loss.
Yeah, yes, thank you.
He's amazing.
He is. He really is. And it's just, what was his QB hits today?
I think I have.
Is it just the one?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Actually, no QB hit, but he sacked the quarterback, so that's a hit. He had 1 tackle for loss, 1 forced fumble, 1 sack for 7 yards, three combined tackles. So
he's just playing out of his mind. He plays with such effort. He plays at 100% every snap. No snaps off for this guy. Every time he's on the field, he is spinning, he's turning, he's running, he's sprinting. And
it's funny too. We were missing on the Kobe, of course, and Oren Burks, man, he 2 tackles for loss, 1 quarterback hit, 1 pass defensed. I mean, the guy was everywhere. Made some great plays behind the line of scrimmage. It's amazing.
Yes. Let's get into before we get into the bad. Let me go ahead and shout this out. Not a particularly great game for him. Really, not even the entire passing offense and receiving or wide receivers. But Devontae Smith, he did become the all-time Eagles postseason receiving yards leader, which is great. Just a fun thing. It was hilarious because he needed 6 to beat it, and on the second play
of the game,
they throw it to him and he gets 5. Yeah. And it's funny because it looks like, it might be 6. So we're all about to cheer, and then it says 3rd and 5 or 2nd and 5.
Yeah.
And it's like, no!
It's funny because when we talked about this particular game, that was one of the things we talked about was saying we're going to come out throwing the ball right away, and we did. First play 10 yards, second play 5 yards to him, and I remember saying, well, let's get that record thing out of the way and hit him with a pass. The first play of the game, we went second play.
True. Yep. Let's get into the bads. So a couple of bads. Jake Elliott, number 1. Missed 2 extra points, made all his field goals, so you give him respect there. You have to do it where you have to give him credit where it's due. But he missed 2 extra points, and if you make those 2 extra points at the end of the game, we would have been up by 8 instead of 6. Would have been a little bit more comforting, because then you're like, okay, well, they have to score and get a 2-point conversion
just to tie it up.
And as you saw with the Ravens today, they were unable to do that. Yes. So that's a big deal. Got to make these extra points, man. And usually, like I told you in the car ride home. Usually, if this was last season and he had his season like he had, and then you did this in the postseason in a weather game like this, you would go, chalk it up to the weather. But it's hard for me to do that because this has been his season all year long. He's struggled.
For some reason, he can't kick a 33-yard field goal.
That's weird.
And it's right there. You know exactly what's happening. The wind was not blowing hard today, from what we saw with the flags hanging there. The weather was bad. The wind was coming into his face there on one of them, but you got to make the extra points because that just takes away your touchdown. It just ruins it. Yeah. And, like you say, if you're up 8 or 9 or 12 or whatever we could have been up, but, the biggest play to me was when we didn't score from the 1-yard line. That was a killer. That was the put-away game. That was it.
The next bet I have, A.J. Brown had a struggle game, had a drop. If he had caught that ball, we would have gotten to the 1-yard line and probably would have scored before the half. Yeah. Could have changed the game, but he dropped it. And that was a bummer to see. And man, it stinks because he's kind of struggled in the playoffs so far. Only 3 catches for 24 yards. And you kind of again today you kind of chalk it up to the type of weather and Jalen struggled at times, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So it's hard to get too much on him, but you got to catch that ball. That gets you to the 1-yard line.
It's funny because he was running down the sideline, right down the sideline, and it was one of those perfect right there's. And and I know there was a few guys there, but
they didn't touch it. They didn't touch him.
Kind of lost his balance and fell down. But gosh, that was such a big play. We would have been on the 1-yard line right before the half, kind of taken over the game, if you will. Yeah, it was tough. That was tough.
My next bad is kind of it's hard to talk bad about the O-line when you have a game where you get rushed for 285 yards combined. Between your players, but they did let up 7 sacks. Now, I would attribute some of those to specifically Hurts himself, holding on to the ball too long, moving the wrong way, running, yada, yada.
And some were great stunts. So you can't, that's going to happen.
It's even the best O-line in NFL history lets up sacks. So it's not, I'm not going to sit here and dog them too much. But it felt like they did struggle a bit. Now you remember that this defensive line by the Rams is good. They had 9 sacks last week, and they had a really good season. They're all young dudes.
Hitting their stride.
And they're really good players. Yeah, they're playing at the best that they have so far right now, Yep. So you don't want to get too discouraged by it. But I thought overall they didn't have their best game of the season.
And then my biggest one, really, was the motion penalty when you're on 4th and goal or 3rd and goal at the 1. I mean, you
4th and goal at the 1, yeah.
Have a penalty on that.
And it stinks because it's Lane Johnson, your guy, the guy who's been here.
He definitely moved, so
it was horrible. Yeah,
it's something I don't understand how they can do that. Like you got to know the count. You guys have the advantage. It's just let's chalk it down to one of those things. But we could have used that touchdown too.
My next bad is going to be Kellen Moore. Now, I know you already shouted that out. You kind of said that.
I'm going to shout it out again, buddy. Man.
Yeah, the play calling has been atrocious. I mean, maybe it's the limitations that Hurts has. I don't know. But I feel as though the play calling has really been atrocious in the past few weeks. I'm confused. I just don't know what he's doing half the time. It's very confusing. I'm sorry. I'm at a loss for words, kind of. But I hopefully you chalk this up to distraction because he went and frickin' interviewed for the Cowboys. I just don't know. This can't be happening. I just don't understand why he's struggling so much. And I told my friend Tevin, who's a Cowboys fan, I said, I'll be honest with you, I would be happy if he was your guys' head coach because this is terrible.
Well, here's the thing. When you got a quarterback like Hurts who can run great, we know he's a great runner. That's wonderful. We got to be able to pass the ball. But, design plays that aren't 20-minute pass plays. Let him get there, take the snap, take 2 steps, and throw it to the right side. Take 2 steps, look left, throw it right. Like, it's not that hard. And every once in a while, you'll see Goddard wide open, and he just gives him a beautiful pass. You're like, that's the play I want to see. What are we doing? I don't understand when he rolls to his left on that one play. It was 2nd and 7. Should have been running the ball to keep the clock going or something. Take
a 12-yard sack.
Give me a wide receiver in motion and flip him the ball. Something.
I know.
I just couldn't believe that they would go to that point to throw the ball and then lose 12 yards and then take yourself, give the other team an opportunity.
Yes.
Unbelievable. And that's on the OC. That's not on Hurts. They shouldn't be calling that play.
Continuing on the good, the bad, and the Hurts. Let's get to the Hurts. I thought he had a great start to the game. I think he started out 5 of 6. I can't remember exactly. Don't quote me on that. But there was a point where he was 5 of 6. And he had that 44-yard touchdown run, which was great. And that was a great play call by Kellen Moore. I'll give him his flowers there.
It was.
Great play call. He did struggle down the line. It felt like it was after the 5 for 6. It was all downhill from there. Just not hitting guys, not being able to pass. I don't know if guys aren't getting open or something. I don't understand. But you drop pass by AJ was tough. The pass breakup, and that was a good pass to AJ. The pass to Smitty, where it got broken up with the penalty, that was a good pass as well. So I'm not saying he doesn't make some passes here or there. He does, but it just feels like there's so much more worse.
Where's the pass to Dotson? Where's the pass to Dotson?
I know.
A 1 pass to Dotson, a 2 pass to Dotson.
Yeah.
Something. They had a nice little pass to Barkley early, which was nice.
Yeah, it was good.
Never used it again. I mean, just that's the kind of stuff I'm looking at that just drives me nuts. It's just I'm not an OC, but I kind of know you move it here and then here, and it's like you're moving the chess cups around, man. Let's go.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You got all these weapons and you can't throw a 3-yard pass.
Yeah. Well, I hate comparing my team to teams like the Chiefs or the Bills or stuff like that. But let me double check real quick. How many people did the Bills throw it to today? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 people caught the ball. We threw the ball to 5 people today. So I know I'm not.
Won the game well.
It's not a major
one to AJ.
Difference. That's the thing.
That's what I mean.
It's 2. It was.
Thank God we got Goddard back because he was 5 of 54 or something.
4. Yeah. 4 for 56, and he was targeted 4 times. He caught every pass. AJ was targeted 7 times, had 2 catches. I mean, and he dropped 1. And I always say, man, if a wide receiver drops a ball, he's no longer allowed to complain about not getting the ball. I'm not saying he was.
Right.
I know he did earlier this year, whatever you want to say, claim. But that's my big belief. If you drop a pass that was perfectly thrown to you, you're not allowed to complain.
Yeah, that one was pretty. Yeah. And that's the other thing, we were saying it as well. We never throw the ball deep. Well, we did twice today. Once was caught and then dropped because he got hit in the helmet, and the other one was AJ. And what happened? Why did we getting away from that? Let's throw the ball. I know the weather was nasty and all that stuff, but these guys still can catch the ball in this weather.
Yes.
They do it all the time. We watched the second game, and these guys were catching everything. So
yeah. And then next thing with Hurts, sacked 7 times. Again, I don't know how many you can attribute to the offensive line and to him. It felt like at least 3 or 4 of them were on Hurts, and just his inability to throw the ball away, or not his inability, I mean, his I don't know, indifference, his desire not to. I don't know even what to say about it. He just doesn't want to throw the ball away. I don't understand. Yeah. Let's get to the under the nest. 2 plays that I thought played a big part in this game that might have gone under the radar. 30 seconds left before the end of the half. So this was kind of the Gainwell drive that I'd mentioned before. So Kenny Gainwell, he comes in for Saquon because Saquon went out with his wrist at that point, the hand, wrist, whatever you want to call it. And he gets a couple carries. He gets a carry here, gets 10 yards. Then he gets a pass or gets a reception for 10 yards. So he had 10-yard catch, 10-yard run, 11. Or no, I'm sorry. Then Saquon comes back in, but he leaves again. And then a couple plays later, Jalen takes a sack. He fumbles the ball like a freaking fool. And Gainwell jumps on it and gets it. Yeah. And I'm just saying, man, he recovered that at the Rams 47. Right. That was with about, I think, 20 seconds left. Yeah. If that was a turnover with 20 seconds left at the 47-yard line, I wouldn't have been surprised if they got in the field goal range.
And that would have changed the pass, and you got it.
That would have changed the whole game because at the end of the game, they would have just been looking for a field goal instead of a touchdown.
That's right.
So thank God for Gainwell. Great play by him.
Yes.
My next one was one you did mention before already. 6 minutes, 18 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Mora Ojomo gets his sack. I think he only ended the season with 1 sack. But that was just such a big one for him to get a sack on because it forced them to punt it. And then after that point, we went down and we scored the touchdown, Saquon 78-yarder. And at that point, it didn't put the game away, unfortunately, but it did prolong and lift our score and make it a little bit tougher. And and that gave us enough time to really last out the game.
Right.
All right, let's get into the bottom line. So bottom line, going to the NFC Championship game. 2 times in 3 seasons. That's incredible. Nick Sirianni, we've said bad things. Jalen Hurts, we've said bad things. They win. And I told Ben after the safety, we were talking, and he was mentioning, like, dude, he's won so many games. Like, because I'm talking bad about him. I'm like, oh, this guy stinks. Like, he's taking sacks for safeties. And he's like, dude, he's won all these games. And I'm just like, well, that's the problem. He's going to win this game. Like, I was like, we're going to win. I said it. I said this in the second quarter, whenever the safety happened. And I'm like, I know that's the problem. We're going to win this game.
Right.
We're going to win the game. And it's going to be like, okay, well, that's all okay. It's not. No. It's not okay. He's got to get better or he's got to get out.
Because the team that we have, we've said it before, you put some other quarterbacks in there, and I think they run the offense just as smooth as it's running now, if not smoother. I mean, sure,
1,000 times
may not have the running ability, but we saw Tanner McKee, I know it was whatever, but, and Pickett, boom, 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 dropping passes in. And you're like, why can't we do that?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think, maybe some of these games are winning in spite of.
Yes.
We have the team. The team is built. But some of the bonehead plays that are coming out of this guy just got to end. I mean, what do we do? We talk about it, and it's going to be, oh, yeah, we're going to fix this. It's not fixed. It's still broken, and it's got to be fixed.
Yep. Next thing, talk about some injuries real quick. Quinyon Mitchell, of course, left the game. Rodgers came in for him. He didn't come back. He was ruled out. However, in post-game interviews, he seemed pretty optimistic. He seemed pretty, oh, I'm fine. I'll be good. It's not a big deal. So hopefully that continues on.
Agreed.
And then looks like Jalen did kind of mention the fact that his knee did have a little bit of an injury in the game. Remember, he took that big tackle.
That guy wrapped his legs around him and did the drop kick thing. And
yeah, I'm a little bit confused. So
I don't know.
The hip drop tackle. I don't know if has it been called this year.
The thing is,
I don't even know.
If you lock your legs around their leg, which is exactly what happened on that play. It's supposed to be called, and it wasn't.
It's confusing.
I've seen a few guys call for it, and they didn't really get the tackle. But the one on A.J. Brown a few weeks ago was one as well, and they didn't call it. So I guess it's not a real thing. I don't know.
Isaiah Rodgers left the game after coming in for Quinyon. I don't see any notes or anything like that listing any problems, so I think he was okay. Obviously, he didn't have to come in to finish the game because the game was over. 3 or 4 plays later. So
but Isaiah Rodgers has really played some good ball with us.
I think so too.
And now you say Ricks came in and ended the game. So
Ringo.
I'm sorry, Ringo. So you're looking at it going, okay, these guys are getting that time, that precious time, and making plays.
In the postseason too. That's huge. It's huge.
Agreed.
Usually I like to talk about some other games, but we're running a little bit long. Do you want to talk about them or no?
No.
Okay, maybe we can record tomorrow or someday soon and kind of talk about those games. Let's real quick. We'll shout it out. We won't mention too much of the games. But next week, championship, of course, going to be Commanders are coming to Philly to play us, NFC Championship game, and then the Bills, of course, did walk away with the win. As you all know, the Chiefs, of course. So the Bills will be playing the Chiefs in Arrowhead. We will be playing at 1:00, and the Bills Chiefs will be at 4:30. Similar to today's games. Yeah, me too. Similar to today's games. So, yep. You got anything else, sir?
No, man.
Let's get out of here. My throat hurts. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. If you like our Eagles Therapy podcast, do us a favor. Rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Comment down below how you feel about the game. What's your confidence levels going forward? Are you excited for this next game? I know you are. I know we all are. And we're ready for that. You can email us your questions at oureaglestherapy@gmail.com. But other than that, from all of us here at Our Eagles Therapy Podcast, I'm Basil.
And I'm Baz.
Go Birds.
Fly, Eagles, fly.